The massive crystal and platinum chamber of the Galactic Council hummed with whispered conversations and subtle gestures of derision. Ambassador Sarah Chen stood at the center of the floor, her simple blue uniform a stark contrast to the shimmering bio-enhanced garments of the assembled representatives. 200 species watched from their elevated pods, most wearing expressions that, despite their alien features, clearly conveyed disdain. High Counselor Zintra, her crystalline form refracting light in complex patterns, raised a tendril to silence the chamber. Humanity requests full membership in the Galactic Council, she announced, her translated voice carrying perfectly to every corner of the vast space. Their credentials have been reviewed. Sarah maintained her diplomatic posture, though her jaw tightened slightly. The review had consisted of 3 months of increasingly condescending examinations of human technology, culture, and capabilities. Every achievement humanity presented had been dismissed as primitive or inefficient. The Council has noted that humans still rely on manual labor for 23% of their essential operations, continued Zintra. Their ships require physical pilots. Their medical procedures often involve direct organic intervention. They maintain analog backup systems that waste precious resources. Even their AI networks incorporate human oversight. A ripple of what might have been laughter moved through the chamber. The Palaxians, with their quantum-integrated nervous systems, visibly shimmered in apparent amusement. We believe in balanced systems, Sarah responded evenly. Our history has taught us the value of maintaining multiple approaches to critical functions. Automation and AI are tools, not replacements for human capability. Primitive thinking, interrupted Delegate MEX 417, its mechanically augmented brain pulsing with blue light. Your species fears its own creations. True civilization embraces total automation. My own people haven't physically touched a control surface in over 3 centuries. Sarah smiled slightly. And if your systems failed? Impossible, scoffed MX 417. Our redundancies have redundancies. Every process is automated, every contingency calculated. We have achieved perfect efficiency. Perhaps, Sarah acknowledged, but perfection can be fragile. Humanity's strength lies in our adaptability, our ability to work both with and without our technology. Enough, Zintra's voice cut through the chamber. The Council has decided. Humanity's application for full membership is denied. You may continue as an observing species until such time as your civilization embraces proper automation standards. Sarah straightened her shoulders. And if we appeal? Appeals are processed automatically by our judicial systems, Zintra responded. The parameters for advancement are clear. Return when you have eliminated your inefficient manual processes. As Sarah walked from the chamber, head held high despite the dismissal, she couldn't help but notice how none of the representatives physically moved to leave. Their automated transport systems would whisk them away. Their environmental controls would adjust without thought. Their ships would plot courses without a single organic decision. In her earpiece, a subtle tone indicated an incoming message from Earth Command. They rejected us. Admiral Torres's voice was unsurprised. As expected, Sarah confirmed, entering her small ship and running her hands over the manual controls. They think we're primitives because we still know how to do things ourselves. Well, Torres replied, and Sarah could hear the smile in his voice. Let's hope they never have to learn why we keep those skills sharp. Sarah engaged her ship's engines, feeling the subtle vibrations through the control yoke. Around her, the Council's automated vessels moved with perfect precision, their occupants likely unaware of the actual mechanics of spaceflight. A feeling nagged at her, something her decades of diplomatic experience had taught her to trust. Admiral, she said slowly, have we completed those new manual backup installations throughout the fleet? Finished last month. Why? Just a feeling, she replied, watching the automated traffic flow. Something about all this perfect efficiency feels vulnerable. As her ship broke orbit, Sarah thought about the dismissive faces in the Council chamber. Humanity had learned harsh lessons about overdependence on automation, paid for them in blood and loss. These species, for all their advancement, had never had to face those lessons. She hoped they wouldn't have to learn the hard way. The stars stretched before her as she plotted a course for Earth, her hands steady on the controls, ready for whatever the galaxy might throw at them next. After all, that's what humans did best. They adapted, they survived, and sooner or later, they proved their worth. 3 months after humanity's rejection from the Galactic Council, the first signs of trouble appeared in the Centauri trading hub. The automated navigation systems began reporting errors, minor at first, just slight miscalculations in docking procedures. Within hours, entire sections of the massive station had shut down, their computer systems locked in endless reboot cycles. Admiral Torres watched the emergency broadcasts from his office on Luna Base, his weathered face illuminated by dozens of holographic feeds. The reports were becoming more frequent, more desperate. The Silicon Plague, as the media had dubbed it, was spreading across the galaxy at the speed of quantum communication. It's elegant in its simplicity, Dr. Maya Patil explained, her fingers dancing over a diagnostic display. The virus doesn't just corrupt systems. It evolves with each new network it encounters. Traditional cybersecurity can't keep up. Torres nodded grimly. And our systems? Protected, thanks to our primitive isolation protocols and manual overrides. Maya's tone carried a hint of vindication. Those inefficient backup systems the Council mocked. They're keeping our infrastructure running while the fully automated worlds go dark. A priority alert flashed across the main screen. The Palaxian home system, with its quantum-integrated population, had gone completely offline. Billions of beings, so thoroughly merged with their technology that they couldn't even breathe without computer assistance, were in immediate danger. They're requesting emergency aid, Torres said, reading the desperate transmission. Their automated medical systems are failing. Life support across entire continents is shutting down. Maya's expression hardened. The virus is targeting their neural interfaces now. Without their technology, they can't survive. Torres stood, decision made. Contact Ambassador Chen. Tell her to inform the Council that humanity stands ready to assist. And Maya, get our manual operation crews ready for deployment. Something tells me the galaxy is about to learn the value of human hands-on experience. Across the galaxy, the Silicon Plague continued its relentless advance. The MX civilization, so proud of their 3 centuries without physical controls, watched helplessly as their automated cities ground to a halt. The crystalline towers of the Council itself grew dark as their perfect systems failed one by one. Sarah Chen stood once again in the Council chamber, though this time the space was dimly lit by emergency power, the elegant automated systems replaced by hastily installed manual controls. The few representatives physically present looked shaken, their confidence shattered along with their networks. The human fleet stands ready, Sarah announced to the subdued assembly. We have ships with manual controls, crews trained in non-automated operations, and emergency teams prepared to assist with essential services. We ask only that you accept our help without the prejudice that marked our previous interactions. High Counselor Zintra, her crystalline form notably dimmer without her usual technological enhancements, spoke with uncharacteristic humility. The Council acknowledges its error in judgment. Your assistance would be most welcome. As Sarah transmitted the approval to Torres, reports were already coming in from across human space. Ships were launching, crews were mobilizing, and humanity was preparing to demonstrate exactly why they had maintained their primitive capabilities. In orbit around a Palaxian colony world, Captain James Rodriguez guided his rescue vessel manually through debris-filled space. The automated traffic control systems were dead, leaving dozens of ships drifting helplessly. His crew worked with practiced efficiency, using magnetic grapples and old-fashioned skill to secure the stranded vessels. Never thought I'd be grateful for all those manual docking drills, his pilot, Lieutenant Sarah Wong, commented as she delicately maneuvered their ship into position. Sometimes the old ways are the best ways, Rodriguez replied, watching as his crew helped bewildered Palaxians adapt to the concept of walking without computer assistance. They laughed at us for keeping these skills sharp, called us paranoid for maintaining manual backups. Not laughing now, are they? The rescue operations continued across the galaxy, human ships and crews becoming lifelines for civilizations that had forgotten how to function without complete automation. Each successful mission, each saved life, was a quiet vindication of humanity's balanced approach to technology. In the depths of space, the Silicon Plague continued its rampage through the galaxy's networks, but it found no purchase in systems designed to work with human hands at the controls. The very inefficiency that the Council had derided was becoming the galaxy's best hope for survival. The stars watched impassively as humanity stepped forward to protect those who had mocked them, proving that true civilization wasn't about perfect automation. It was about maintaining the wisdom to handle both triumph and disaster with capable hands and adaptable minds. Commander Elena Martinez stood in the control center of the Arcturus space station, watching as her human crew worked alongside increasingly frustrated alien trainees. The massive holographic display showed hundreds of ships moving through nearby space, each one guided by actual hands on actual controls, a sight unseen in most of the galaxy for generations. "Your grip is too tight," she told the Palaxian engineer, whose crystalline appendages were awkwardly wrapped around a manual thruster control. "Feel the resistance. The ship talks to you through the vibrations." "This is barbaric," the Palaxian muttered, though with less conviction than similar complaints from weeks earlier. "How can you trust mere physical sensation over quantum calculations?" Elena smiled, remembering her own training days. "Because sometimes the most reliable computer is the one between your ears. Try again, but this time, close your eyes. Don't think about the numbers. Feel the ship." Across the station, similar scenes played out. Human instructors worked patiently with species who had to relearn, or learn for the first time, how to operate their own technology without complete automation. The Silicon Plague had forced this change, but humanity was determined to make it an opportunity rather than just a crisis. In the medical bay, Dr. Marcus Wong demonstrated old-fashioned surgical techniques to a group of MX-417's people, their mechanical brains struggling to accept the concept of direct physical intervention. "But the probability of error," one began, "is always present," Marcus finished, his steady hands moving through the procedure. "That's why we train. That's why we practice. Perfect automation doesn't exist, but skilled hands and experienced judgment can handle situations no computer could predict." The training program expanded across the galaxy. Human ships carried not just emergency supplies but instructors, manuals, and physical tools that many species had forgotten existed. Each success story, each newly trained crew, proved that the galaxy could adapt. On the Centauri Trading Hub, now partially restored through manual operations, Admiral Torres met with a delegation from the Council. The once pristine chamber was cluttered with physical displays and backup systems, its elegant automation replaced by what would have been considered primitive equipment 3 months ago. "The virus continues to evolve," reported Dr. Patel, who had joined the meeting. "Every attempt to restore full automation has failed. We need to accept that this isn't a temporary situation." High Counselor Zintra, who had personally learned to operate basic life support systems, nodded gravely. "The Council acknowledges humanity's foresight. Your species' insistence on maintaining manual capabilities has saved countless lives. But more importantly," Torres added, "it's teaching the galaxy how to save itself. Every crew we train, every species that relearns these basic skills, becomes more resilient." In the depths of space, a Nemx freighter lost power near a dangerous stellar phenomenon. Instead of becoming another casualty, the crew, recently trained by humanity, engaged manual backup systems and piloted their way to safety. It wasn't elegant, it wasn't perfect, but it worked. The story repeated across the stars. Species that had once looked down on human inefficiency were discovering the satisfaction of direct control, the confidence that came from knowing they could handle problems without complete computer assistance. Belina watched her Palaxian students successfully complete a manual docking maneuver, the crystalline being's usual disdain for physical interaction, replaced by what could only be described as pride. "I understand now," the Palaxian said quietly. "The vibrations through the controls, the subtle shifts in momentum. There is information here that no sensor could fully capture." "That's the secret we tried to tell the galaxy," Elena replied. "Technology isn't meant to replace our capabilities. It's meant to enhance them. True progress comes from balance." In her office on Luna Base, Sarah Chen reviewed reports from across human space. Emergency response teams were stretched thin, but they were succeeding. More importantly, they were changing minds. Species that had once sneered at human methods were now eagerly learning them. The Silicon Play had exposed the galaxy's greatest vulnerability, its absolute dependence on automation. But in doing so, it had also revealed humanity's greatest strength, the wisdom to know that no system, no matter how advanced, should ever completely replace the fundamental skills that had taken their species to the stars. As she looked out at the Earth rising over the lunar horizon, Sarah smiled. The galaxy had laughed at humanity's primitive ways, but now those same methods were becoming its salvation, not through superior technology, but through the simple, profound power of capable hands guided by adaptable minds. 6 months into the crisis, signs of transformation began appearing across the galaxy. The massive shipyards of the MX civilization, once fully automated, now hummed with the presence of actual workers. Engineers moved between vessels, their augmented brains learning to integrate physical experience with computational power. Captain Lisa Chen, Ambassador Chen's daughter, guided her vessel through the sprawling facility. Unlike the sterile silence that had once defined these spaces, the shipyard now resonated with activity. MX workers called to each other, coordinating repairs with a mix of manual skill and remaining functional automation. "They're adapting faster than we expected," her first officer, Michael Okonjo, noted as they watched a team of MX engineers manually calibrating a ship's drive system. 6 months ago, they couldn't conceive of touching machinery. Now look at them. Lisa nodded, remembering the early days of the crisis. Necessity is a powerful teacher, but it's more than that. They're discovering something we never lost, the satisfaction of working with your own hands. The Silicon Play had proven impossible to eliminate entirely. Instead, the galaxy was learning to work around it, creating new systems that combined the best of automation with manual oversight. Humanity's training programs had evolved from emergency response to something more fundamental, teaching the galaxy how to maintain balance. In the Palaxian core worlds, crystalline cities were being redesigned. Where once every function had been controlled by AI, now elegant manual interfaces emerge. The Palaxians, with their natural affinity for precision, were discovering that physical control could be just as elegant as quantum computation. Dr. Maya Patel stood in one of these cities, admiring how the Palaxians had adapted human principles to their own unique biology. "You've created something remarkable here," she told her host, a senior Palaxian engineer named Zrix. "We learned from your species example," Zrix replied, manipulating a physical control panel with graceful movements. "The plague forced us to change, but the change itself has brought unexpected benefits. Our young ones now learn both ways, the efficiency of automation and the reliability of manual skill." Across the galaxy, similar transformations took place. Species that had once competed to achieve total automation now worked to find their own balance. The Council itself was being reformed, its overwhelming reliance on AI replaced by a hybrid system that maintained organic oversight at every level. On a remote mining outpost, a team of mixed species, human, MX, Palaxian, and others, worked together to establish new protocols. When automated systems detected an anomaly in the asteroid field, manual observers verified the data. When physical operators noted something unusual, sensors confirmed their observations. The two approaches strengthened each other. Admiral Torres visited the outpost, watching with satisfaction as the different species coordinated their efforts. A young MX operator used their augmented brain to process vast amounts of data, while their hands stayed steady on manual controls, combining both worlds in a way that would have been unthinkable before the crisis. It's not just about survival anymore, the outpost's commander, a Palaxian named Vex, told Torres. We're creating something new, something better than pure automation or pure manual control. The Admiral smiled, recognizing the truth in those words. That's what we tried to tell the galaxy before. Technology should enhance our capabilities, not replace them. True advancement comes from building upon our foundations, not abandoning them. In the council chamber, now restored but notably different, Ambassador Chen addressed the assembled representatives. The room still gleamed with advanced technology, but now manual controls and physical interfaces were prominently integrated into its design. The Silicon Plague challenged our assumptions about progress, she said, but in doing so, it opened our eyes to a better path. Humanity never sought to reject automation. We simply understood that it shouldn't come at the cost of fundamental skills and knowledge. High Counselor Zintra, who now operated her own environmental controls alongside AI assistants, raised a tendril in agreement. Your species' wisdom has become our salvation. The galaxy moves forward now on two paths, the digital and the physical, the automated and the manual, each strengthening the other. As Lisa Chen's ship departed the MX shipyards, she reflected on how much had changed. The galaxy that had once laughed at humanity's inefficient ways was now embracing those same principles, not as a step backward, but as a step toward true advancement. In her ship's logbook, she wrote, "The crisis forced the galaxy to remember what humanity never forgot, that the most reliable technology is the one you can still control when all else fails. But they're learning something even more important, that the greatest strength comes not from choosing between human skill and artificial intelligence, but from learning to use both in harmony." 1 year after the Silicon Plague first emerged, the Galactic Council convened a historic session. The chamber, once a testament to pure automation, now symbolized the new philosophy that had spread across the stars. Holographic displays worked alongside physical controls. AI systems complemented organic operators rather than replacing them. Ambassador Sarah Chen stood at the center of the chamber once again, but this time there were no whispers of derision, no looks of disdain. Instead, representatives from 200 species watched with respect as she prepared to formalize humanity's new role in galactic society. The past year has taught us all a crucial lesson. High Counselor Zintra began, her crystalline form glowing with both natural and technological light. Progress is not a straight line toward total automation. True advancement comes from balance, from maintaining our fundamental capabilities while embracing new technologies. In orbit above, the newly commissioned training vessel, Harmony, demonstrated this philosophy in action. Its bridge crew included members from dozens of species, each bringing their own unique combination of technological integration and physical skill. Captain James Rodriguez watched as a MX navigator used their augmented brain to calculate a complex trajectory, while their hands remained steady on manual backup controls. "Show me the approach vector again," he asked, and smiled as the navigator naturally provided both the computational data and their physical feel for the ship's movement. They had learned to trust both. Back in the council chamber, Sarah spoke to the assembled representatives. "1 year ago, we stood before you requesting membership. You judged us primitive for maintaining manual skills alongside our automated systems. Now we stand here not seeking approval, but offering partnership." Across the galaxy, evidence of this partnership was already visible. The Palaxian shipyards had become centers of innovation, developing new interfaces that combined crystalline precision with human practicality. MEX research facilities now explored ways to enhance natural skills rather than replace them. Even the most automated species had learned to maintain physical backups and manual training programs. The Silicon Plague was not defeated, Dr. Maya Patel reported from her new position as head of the Galactic Technology Integration Board. Instead, we evolved beyond its threat. By maintaining multiple approaches to every critical system, we created something more resilient than pure automation could ever be. The Council's vote was unanimous. Humanity would not just join the Galactic Council, they would lead a new initiative to maintain this balance throughout civilized space. Training programs, once emergency measures, became standard practice. Every species found its own way to combine technology with fundamental skills. Admiral Torres, watching the proceedings from Luna Base, received a message from a Palaxian commander he had trained months ago. "We discovered something in deep space." The message read, "An ancient probe, completely automated. In the past, we would have sent robots to study it. Now we send people with tools, both digital and physical. We learn more this way." The message confirmed what humanity had always known, that tools, no matter how advanced, were meant to serve life, not replace it. The galaxy had finally understood that true strength lay not in abandoning their natural capabilities, but in augmenting them thoughtfully. As the formal ceremony concluded, Sarah walked through the Council's halls with High Counselor Zintra. "Your species, the crystalline being observed, had this wisdom all along. You tried to warn us about the dangers of overdependence on automation. We learned our lessons the hard way, centuries ago," Sarah replied. "We wanted to spare the galaxy that pain. In the end, the crisis taught what our words couldn't." In ships and stations across civilized space, crews of mixed species worked together, each contributing their unique perspectives and abilities. The distinction between automated and manual systems began to blur as new technologies emerged that truly served their users rather than replacing them. A year ago, they had laughed at humanity's primitive ways. Now, those same principles had led to a renaissance of galactic civilization. Not through the elimination of physical skills in favor of automation, but through the harmonious integration of both approaches. In her final report to Earth Command, Sarah wrote, "They called us primitives for maintaining our manual capabilities alongside advanced technology. Now they understand what we knew all along, that true civilization isn't about replacing the old with the new, but about building upon our foundations to reach ever greater heights." The galaxy laughed at humanity until they needed our help. Now they stand with us as partners in creating a future that honors both progress and tradition, technology and touch, automation and human hands. The stars watched as this new age of galactic civilization unfolded, each species contributing its own balance of digital and physical mastery. Humanity had not just survived the crisis, they had helped forge a stronger, more resilient galaxy, one that would never again mistake technological dependence for true advancement.